The port city of Derna hit by a deluge, turning streets into rivers, sweeping away cars and leaving residents stranded. Rescues were conducted throughout the night, the magnitude of the devastation revealed in the light of day. Several hospitals evacuated and buildings washed away. There are more than 2,000 deceased and we pray for their souls, says the spokesman for the country's armed forces. Thousands remain missing along the
might be missing. Massive rainfall caused dams to collapse.
The Mediterranean storm Daniel has hit Libya hard and fast, and thousands are feared to be missing as flash floods rip through eastern towns, erasing entire neighborhoods. The Prime Minister of the East Libya government has begun declaring disaster zone.
The number of people killed is over 2,000. Entire neighborhoods were swept away by the water.
Entire neighborhoods have disappeared with their residents, Dr. Osama.
Yes, disappeared with their residents.
A spokesman for the country's eastern armed forces attributed the catastrophic floods to the collapse of two nearby dams. Dr. Mahmoud, a trustee at Libyan Helping Hand, has been struggling to reach his close relatives who live by... Dr. Mahmoud, a trustee at Libyan Helping Hand, has been struggling to reach his close relatives who live by one of the dams.
One of my family living in Derna, very close to the dam way when the dam collapsed this early morning. We don't have any communicate with them since 3 a.m.
Videos shared online show apocalyptic scenes. Pileups of cars crashed into each other by the current. Local authorities have a massive recovery task ahead of them. They can expect help from Turkey, who've pledged to send a rescue team and 3 planes carrying humanitarian aid. Battered by years of instability and extremism, eastern Libya has weathered the worst of political upheaval. But the infrastructure that survived so much man-made chaos has crumbled against the force of this natural disaster.
coastal city of Derna in eastern Libya. So powerful it tore homes from their foundations and swept away entire neighbourhoods. This army spokesman confirming 3 bridges were also destroyed, the remains of those structures and an unknown number of people and other buildings have been washed into the sea. There are grave fears, the official toll could easily soar. So far, officials say more than 2,000 people could be dead and up to 6,000 are missing. But at this early stage, they warn those numbers are little more than a guess. The flash flooding was triggered by a double dam collapse after days of torrential rain from Storm Daniel. It's the same weather system that battered Greece, Turkey and Bulgaria last week, but Libya appears to have been hit much harder. Politically divided between East and West by rival governments, that has hampered rescue efforts and delayed the emergency response. The internationally recognised government in the West is providing support and aid is beginning to flow from Turkey and Qatar. In a country already crippled by political instability, much more will be needed to recover from a deepening humanitarian crisis.
The most appalling impact of the storm, actually, because the floods washed away entire neighborhoods in the coastal city.
Libya is a divided country with competing power bases. How does that affect the country and also how the country responds to these floods?
Actually, the split between East and West is making the response and the relief work is slow down and making it a bit sluggish, actually, because until this morning, now before I speak to you, reports from Derna are saying that there are no rescue teams that have arrived from local cities, from Tripoli in the west or other cities to Derna, to the rescue of the people. And this is actually because of the lack of coordination between East and West, and because there are 2 vying governments in Libya.
Talk to us also about these reports of these dam collapses. What's the news there?
Actually, that made the number of fatalities go up because 2 dams are located in the city of Derna, Derna Valley area, and of course these 2 dams, when they collapsed, they actually made the disaster worse for the neighborhoods that are located on either sides of the area on the Derna Valley. And the most actually the numbers that are coming from that area are the most in terms of fatalities and missing persons. Entire families are missing, and people are starting to look for help from inside and outside Libya. Of course, we're waiting for relief response from international community. It hasn't arrived yet.
And just briefly, to what degree can the authorities, the local authorities, cope?
flooding. The floods swept away entire neighborhoods in a number of coastal towns. The destruction was worst in the eastern coastal city of Derna, where the heavy rains caused 2 dams to collapse, wiping out 1/4 of the city.
Whole neighborhoods submerged by water. Residents in this area of eastern Libya come face to face with the devastation caused by the storm. Some buildings were swept away entirely by the force of wind and rain. The region's armed forces were deployed to assess the damage.
The North African country of Libya is no doubt battling with a climatic challenge that needs international support. More than 3,000 people have reportedly died from heavy flooding caused by Storm Daniel in the eastern region of Libya, and 10,000 more are reportedly missing. Libya's health minister says most of the 3,000 deaths occurred in the city of Derna. The country's Minister of Civil Aviation, H.M. Chikwat, who is also part of the National Emergency Committee, says in Derna, the situation is highly disastrous, with bodies lying everywhere, under buildings, in the sea and valleys. The minister says in Derna alone, bodies recovered are more than 1,000, with more still expected to be recovered. Mr. Chikwat says 25% of Derna has disappeared. An official from the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies says about 10,000 people are suspected missing following heavy floods. The Red Cross describes the death toll as huge. 24 hours ago, officials of the administration that runs the eastern part of the divided nation said at least 2,000 people had been killed by the floods. Rescue operations are underway.
عدد الوفيات اللي حاليا في القسم هذا بالذات 1700 وفاة إلى الآن.
كيف تم حصرهم؟
نحصروا فيهم موجودين قاعدين في الممرات صوروه.
ما فيش حد كان مستعد، لكن الله غالب شيء صار. نبيدي بالنسبه لي انا على جنب الوادي بالضبط، على الطريق الرئيسي نتاع الوادي مقابل مسجد الصحابه. فقط منزل العائله كامله، نحن جيران بعضنا، عرفت، عده منازل جنب بعضنا.
Teams moved to the city, the country's presidential council asking for international assistance. The devastation, the result of Storm Daniel, which brought catastrophic flooding to Greece last week, as well as the collapse of 2 nearby dams. The North African country is split between 2 rival administrations and communication from authorities is conflicting. But Derna remains cut off, with more bad news expected. Up to 50 millimetres of rain is forecast for the next 48 hours. Alison Petrowski.